Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about how the rest of my day 1 went. I had an emergency update yesterday, if you didn't see that. Basically, I went Glacial shot, and it kind of opened the campaign up for me. And yeah, you can see the Doriani kill in the background. I just completed the campaign after an excruciating first 31 levels. Now, I've heard that since then, monsters have been reduced by 25% life. I don't know if that makes that experience that much better, but I'm sure it is maybe a little bit better. Currently this game is pretty much in shambles, and I'm sure like now I get into maps and the curve will even out, but the damage has kind of been done. However, before I make a video about that, I want to quickly like fix the build, right? Like get it to a state and get it out there, get the planner out there so everybody can kind of follow through campaign that's still stuck around. And dare I say, once I got to level 31, once I got the combo rolling, I was actually kind of cruising. It was pretty damn fun. A lot of people came on stream and we're swapping to this. I don't know if I'm gonna stay with this in endgame because there is frankly better options most likely, but we're gonna talk about it right here. All right, so the combo is pretty straightforward. I didn't want to do any weird combo shit. I know the Twister is out. I don't know if it's already nerfed. I totally get that if you want to play that, but here's the Glacial Bolt, right? So you basically fire down these projectiles that do a mild amount of damage whenever they land, and then you have all of these frost walls. And the thing is, and this is a little bit deceptive, right? These frost walls actually scale with your attack damage because they're not frost wall like the spell usually is. This one scales off of your weapon, right? And it has 100% conversion. Now, usually what you have to do, or what GGG wants you to do, is you place them down and then you have to fire another projectile. So you have to swap, right? And explode them as fast as possible. However, what you can do instead is, now that Artillery Ballista actually does good damage, is you can put down ballistas and then start shooting. And as you saw in the Doriani fight, these fuckers will then explode all these ice walls. And that does a ton of damage, as you can see right here. It's like 140% damage per small icicle. I don't know exactly how it works, but it seems like it's hitting like 7 or 8 times. Now, the reason this is important is because the skill got buffed by 57% this patch, whereas most crossbows only got buffed by the crossbows being better and even got turned down a little bit, like for example shock burst rounds and explosive shot. This one got actually uber buffed. Now, I don't know if this is still going to be best in endgame because in endgame you don't really want to press 2 buttons while you're running around, right? Boom, boom. And it can be annoying in certain situations, which we're also going to talk about. However, I cannot tell you and stress you enough that especially early at level 31, whenever you can play this with Artillery Ballista, enemies are just stop existing, right? They're running between your walls, they get frozen. So that alone is absolutely worth the price of admission, which is that it blocks your pathways, right? Which you have to kind of find a way around, but it's not like you get used to it. That's basically all I'm gonna say. But you sometimes cannot run exactly where you want to run, and that is a consequence. But for example, Thunderous Leap, right? This is a no cooldown thing you can put on your spear, on your offhand, that just lets you jump over it. I will have a full Maxwell planner up basically right after this video. I'm gonna get to it. I'm also making notes for leveling in case you're starting out fresh or you're somewhere in between acts like a lot of people are right now. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, so definitely check back to that. I'll link it down in the description, and I will also link it in the top comment probably. But regardless, I'll show you what I've basically had. This is straight out of, as you can see, I now have the first map mission straight out of campaign. So this was the crossbow I bought at level 38, and it carried me like through everything. I thought I would maybe have to upgrade again. I didn't understand how strong this build was actually, so I never really needed to upgrade it. This is the crossbow that I killed Doriani with. It is very strong, don't get me wrong, but at the point where I was right now, I could have bought better stuff, but I actually did some other things. Now, important here is damage, right? The more fizz damage, the better. Fire damage, cold damage, lightning damage are also good, but fizz damage is where it's at. In terms of runes, this really depends. Right now, I have fire runes, which is probably not optimal. I just throw on anything. If you know how to, you can import it into POB and look for yourself or do the math yourself. If you have, that is a recommendation right now, Exiled Exchange 2, you can press Control and then D, and it will show you your total DPS up top, right? Which is pretty helpful, especially when you find new weapons and you want to upgrade. So yeah, after that, in the suffix, once you're ascended on your Amazon, you 100% want to go crit damage bonus because, well, obviously this one right here, this is incredible, right? It is completely ridiculous. So yeah, good crossbow. If you have no damage, that is your problem. No other amount of investment will make any difference compared to your crossbow. And I'll just tell you right now, whatever exalts you find, whatever like alchemies you find that you can convert into exalts, buy yourself a better weapon. Now there's some other upgrades you can do, but more on that later. In terms of rings, all of this is self-found. Everything else that I have is completely self-found. And in fact, my resistances are a joke. Now, blue flame bracers I did buy. I kind of regret it though. At the start, I actually thought that artillery ballista would kind of match up to the damage of my my glacial bolt, but turns out artillery ballistas are basically just there to break the walls. Like, they are not really anything important, and well, the ice wall is already cold, so this just converts the fire damage to cold, which is okay, right? Like, it means you can actually scale cold penetration, and it scales everything, including your ballistas. But it's like, is that necessary? The ice walls that you want to break don't have any they don't have any res anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So blue flame bracers, do not buy them. I bought them for 7 exalts. They have been steadily going down. Still not sure it's worth it. Charm, right now I'm anti-freeze throughout the campaign, especially in the Act 3 fight against that poison lady, and Act 6 again, you probably want to slot in a poison charm. You can also experiment with stun charm, but in general, I'll just show you, this is how I completed the campaign. I did not really pay any attention simply because of how easy it is with this skill. Now, you might still die here or there. It is possible, right? This is definitely not hardcore viable, especially not the way I ran around here. But I'm just telling you, like, it makes mobs basically a joke. As for skills, I'm using Glacial Bolt. The quality is 20%. That is super, super important. I'm going to hover over it real quickly. So basically, what happens is you're like, oh, what does the quality do? It doesn't tell me. But if you go to ammunition, you will see it goes from 1 bolt loaded per clip before you have to reload, 1 bolt only, to 3, which is a huge difference, right? It's basically, it's going to make all the difference in the world. You're almost never going to hit your reload, or at least a lot less, which is super nice. So the way you get it is with gem cutters prisms. So if you, for example, look right here, you can get 3 for 4 exalts, right? So they're a little bit more than 1 exalt. I would definitely play around with this and invest some of the exalts you find into this. You can see a theme: never use your exalts, always buy stuff for them. GCP's Gem Cutters prisms are a huge deal. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the biggest upgrades you can make to the build. Even better than buying a new crossbow. So yeah, there it goes. I have Cold Infusion, Bullseye, and Scattershot. Now, Cold Infusion, obviously because this says conversion, but if your crossbow, for example, looks different, you might have to play around with it a little bit. Right now I can do this because it's mostly physical. The fire damage gets reduced a little bit though by this 50% less fire and lightning damage. So just be aware of that if you have a lot of fire and lightning damage on your crossbow. Bullseye, I'm going for this one for the 50% more accuracy rating. I feel like this is a good point to start around. So you can actually right click your thing down in the corner if you didn't know, and it will bring up this menu. So if you look at the walls, you can see right here, my estimated main critical chance from hit chance is 27.3 to 56.42. This is the Amazon crit node that basically, depending on your accuracy, gives you an amount of crit. Now, look what happens if I remove Bullseye, right? So I go down quite significantly, and that is because obviously, well, the more accuracy rating, right? But more than that, I want to highlight this first number, which is if you stand next to the enemy, you have 56 crit. If you stand far away, like 10 meters, this is 27%. So you always want to be on top of enemies as much as you can. You don't have to stand exactly on top of them, but the further you are ahead when the walls are exploding, the more damage you're going to deal. Just telling you right now. Now, you cannot fire them from afar and then come back in. I don't think it calculates like that. You actually have to fire them from afar, but just telling you right now. So Bullseye support and then Scattershot. On Artillery Ballista, I'd have 10 quality here because it's also very good, but this one is not something you should, like, better upgrade your crossbow, I'll tell you right now. You want Overabundance for the extra totem. You want Martial Tempo and then Primal Armament or whatever you can do in terms of damage. We'll see how it goes. Now, this is just to break the walls, and here's really important that you look at the level of your Glacial Bolt. So the wall has an HP, and this goes up with level. For example, if I was to level this up right now to level 14, I can show it to you live. I click on this, and it tells me that the ice crystals go up to 3086, right? That means that now my ballistas have to do almost double damage to break them, which is bad, right? Because it would make the build more clunky. Now, later on, when your ballistas get more damage, you can also do this. Although I'm not 100% sure this build will necessarily be great in maps, right? It's just something that's very, very bursty during campaign. Has a great upside there, but yeah, in terms of that, you might be mistaken to just put something in like totem placement speed or something. You still want your artillery ballistas to do damage. They still do a chunky amount of damage. They're not bad, but yeah, just make sure that you have your Glacial Bolt on a level where the ice walls get broken with one shot. Now then we have Herald of Ice. The first time around I got my 30 Spirit, I was actually using Herald of Thunder because back then we were different skills. But yeah, you go Clarity, you go Precision, and you go Magnified Effect here. Now, Clarity, Precision, Reserve, Spirit, so only use those if you're ready at the next stage. That's probably what I would do at whenever you get your next batch of Spirit, I think level 30 or so. That's pretty good. We're going to talk about Antlion Charger in a second. We're going to talk about the companion stuff. Sniper's Mark, just for extra damage. You put it on the target. It does like 10% more damage for the fight. Put some increased duration in so you only have to apply it once. And then Thunderous Leap is our offhand. Basically, you go here, you select Weapon Set 2 for the Thunderous Leap, and you put a Spear in there. Now, if you can find a Spear with increased attack speed, I think that scales the leap speed, but yeah, you definitely want that on your offhand. This one's super important, simply because you want to jump over the frost walls, which can sometimes hinder your movement. Now to the most important things I can tell you for this build. Stand next to enemies, accuracy crit. This goes for any Amazon, even if you're not playing this build, okay? I'll tell this to you right now. If you're an Amazon and you're using the crit node, the difference between you standing next to the boss or to the enemy or afar, and I also mean this for clear, is like triple damage or something, okay? So if a boss is here, right, and you stand over here, you're gonna do a third of your damage. You are basically trolling, right? And that is something you have to get used to. I will probably also take the stand and deliver nodes for later. On this build, it's pretty safe, right? Standing next to it because you're freezing. On some of the other archetypes, I might have to think about something. Now then, I'll reiterate this again, how big the 20 quality is on the Glacial Bolt. Your ammunition literally triples. It is highly important that you get gem cutters, prisms. It is one of the things you should be seeking out immediately. So if you think about this, I right now have 3 munitions. Usually you would have to reload, do this, reload, this, reload, this, reload. With this, you can do shoot, 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 reload. It is night and day. Now this is optional, but you can also get a beast, a little companion right here. I don't think this is necessarily worth it in endgame. I just wanted to try it out, and I'll kind of tell you how you can do this. And personally, I like the haste aura, although you have to realize you're not always in it, right? If you haven't, most of these minions are crawling around, so it's mostly going to be up on bosses, so maybe you actually want a crit aura. But yeah, it's kind of cute, right? It's not great, but I didn't know what else to do for now, so it was kind of cool. I'll probably change this out later, but if you're interested in how to do this, you probably want to do it once you're in Act 6 only, and then you want to go to Infested Barrens. Now there is a troubled camp right there with a checkpoint that has 2 rare beasts in there. You don't want to kill them, okay? All you want to do is you want to look at them, see if they have haste aura, not hasted, that's different, haste aura. If they have it, what you do is beforehand, right, you make a uncut skill gem, you go to spear, you make a tame beast, and then you basically have a fresh tame beast. What happens if you catch a beast is it becomes that skill gem, so you can't change it anymore, right? But right now what tame beast does is you put it on your skill bar. So you do, for example, 2. And whenever you see an enemy you wanna actually catch, you have to first target it, right? So for example, let's say this is the beast. I would press 2 here. It's gonna say follow me or whatever, and then it has this wispy glow around it, and then you have to kill it within 9 seconds. Then it belongs to you, and then your skill gem will look like this. However, if you don't get it, which is going to be most of the time, right, what you have to do is, like, you check them, don't kill them, otherwise you have to redo the whole instance, not the checkpoints, and then you spawn a checkpoint, right? So you just hover over them, see if they have anything you want, maybe not even haste aura, right, crit aura, whatever you want, and then respawn a checkpoint. You respawn right before the camp, you'll go back in, do the same thing over and over, and then you got yourself a little buddy. Thunderous Leap to get over frost balls that are blocking you is very important as well. So while you're mapping around, you're going to drop these, right? The artillery ballistas usually are destroying them, but not all of them. So if you want to go over, just thunder asleep, right? Like, this is the biggest downside of the build. It's kind of annoying. I'll have to figure this out in endgame, otherwise it will yeah, grate on me, but we'll have to see. Artillery ballistas are clunky, indoors maps are a little bit awkward, right? But it does what it's supposed to do. The game is in a weird state right now, and this build is, at least for me, incredibly fun. There's a lot of explosions, there's a lot going on screen. The boss damage is very good. And most notably, it gets us to endgame where we can experiment with explosive shot and galvanic shard shock burst rounds again. I have heard people who had good success at level 41 with shock burst rounds. Some other people have said it kind of needs a little bit more baking, but I will definitely try it in maps and I'll report back. As I said, last league we played explosive shot, shock burst rounds. Maybe it's going to be galvanic shards this league. I'm not 100% sure, but this glacial bolt build, almost said glacial shot again, it's just, yeah, it's just very, very, very cozy for campaign, so I can only highly recommend it. As for notes, I will have the planner updated to include way more detailed stuff. We're going to do that right today on stream over on twitch.tv/Palsteron. We're going to write those, and it's going to be hopefully whenever this comes up, already up. But yeah, early on is going to suck with the 25% less life, hopefully less than it was for me. But basically what you're looking for during leveling, I think I have to do this, right? Yeah, okay. So during leveling, you want to start it with Contagion. You put it on an enemy, you kill it, it kind of spreads. For the first 5 levels or so, that is super, super cozy. Then you want to go Lightning Arrow plus Martial Tempo and Lightning Infusion. Very strong. Lightning Rod, Scattershot, Conk Effect. Now in the past, this was good enough. Right now, the monsters are kind of stupid. So you can also go Stormcaller Arrow if you really wish to. Maybe I'm actually going to put that in the guide. We'll have to see. And then Flame Wall, Spell Cascade, if you want to fire through them, that's also fine. Yeah. Then at level around about 13 or whatever, you will get your first Uncut Skill Gem, level 5. You can go Freezing Salvo. It will help a lot, right? You get Hourglass and Glaciation as supports. Okay, pretty cool. All of this will be in the guide, but just real quickly. First, you want Herald of Thunder. You want to also activate it, which a lot of people forget, right? Actually go into the menu. I have some tips here. I'll have that later as well. Grenade setup for me personally was very clunky, but you can try it out. And yeah, after that, you can experiment around with crossbows if you want to. Like I said, people had varying success. But all I can tell you here is this. At level 31, right, is where this starts happening. And this is crucial to understand. Dreadnought is a pain if you have a bad build. It is an absolute pain. So what you want to do is you want to get a Uncut Skill Gem level 9. You don't get that before usually, but you can get it from the zone in Dreadnought Vanguard before. If you farm through it, you can reset it, can do it over and over, and at some point get your Uncut Skill Gem level 9, or you can just buy it from trade. However, if you want to buy it from trade, just so you know, what you have to do is you have to type in Uncut Skill Gem, right? Uncut Skill Gem, and then you have to go to item level 9, minimum, maximum, and then you will find level 9s exactly. This is really important because this is where you get Artillery Ballista, right? This will transform the build into something much nicer to play with. And you can see my day 1 recap if you want the Dreadnought kill. But basically, if you don't have that, you're kind of on your own. You need to do something with bows, need to do something with crossbows. I'm not sure myself right now. People have said they've been doing okay on just bows. So yeah, maybe follow that. I'll probably have something better in my planner. That's all I'm going to tell you. Like, this is super important. And yeah, Dreadnought was a joke after that. Artillery Ballista, Glacial Bolt, just as I talked about in this video. But yeah, that's about all the thoughts I have right now. I have some things to say, obviously, about PoE 2. But right now, I just wanted to get this out so people can actually play the video game. So yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date with whatever I'm going to do next. Explosive Shot, Galvanic Shards, whatever. I don't think I'm going to stay with this build for that long because obviously in maps you want to be faster, right? You don't want to get stuck in walls. But for campaign, this has just absolutely, and I really mean this, saved my league start. So yeah, if you're still playing, keep going. It gets definitely easier. Just telling you right now, at level 31, do what I said in the video. And yeah, with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.